What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? So we beat Dortmund 1-0 through a wonderful Kimmich goal. Now this one will be podcast mode rather than video mode. I'm doing a few things right now, so my room is an absolute mess, so we're just going to leave it on podcast mode. Now, what can we talk about this game? There's a lot of things to talk about this game. If we were to look at if we were to look at the two halves separately, I thought the first half was very end to end. I thought both teams really went for it, but both teams lacked quality. I was actually very, very much surprised by how poor our passing was in the first half. We couldn't string 2-3 passes together, which is very surprising considering you have such good passes of the ball. But it just wasn't happening in the first half. Defensively, I thought we were very poor in the first half too. I thought Gnabry was one of the standout players in the first half in a negative sense, because I felt he was very, very, very bad in the first half. Essentially the reason why Dortmund kept attacking through their right and through our left, because it was basically just Davies defending on our left. It was Lewandowski defending more than Gnabry, and I get that. I'm assuming Flick told Gnabry and Coman, because Coman, in a lesser sense, defending wide in a lesser sense, he wasn't defending as much, but Coman was still going back, helping out in a defensive manner. But Gnabry, he just completely ignored those tasks. Now I'm assuming it was obviously to hit them on the counter, but since we never really got a counter off, it just didn't really prove to be useful, and we just looked like we were getting. It just looked like Dortmund had much better chance because we played that. We played to that manner, and we just didn't defend that well. Now on the midfield, I thought first off we were atrocious. I thought the two players out of the three that were in midfield were atrocious. I thought Goretzka was bad. I thought Kimmich was bad. I thought Müller, who was obviously part of the three-man midfield, was actually very good. Müller, I thought, was very good as, again, maybe not so much like in an offensive capability, but like just moving around, creating spaces for little pockets of passing, for little pockets of movements. I thought he was very good in that manner, but in terms of like an offensive capability, not so much. Now in terms of our wingers, I already mentioned Gnabry in the first half. Coman, I thought, was better than Gnabry in the first half, but in the second half he was so bad. In the second half, when we actually were a lot more threatening and we were a lot more offensive, I thought Coman was very, very bad. He would get the ball in dangerous positions, and the crosses he would make. I mean, it's kind of an issue with Coman. He oftentimes just crossed the ball into the box, whatever, without looking or something, without finding a target. But today it was extremely bad. We could have easily had another 1 or 2 or 3 goals if he just looked up, if he just picked better passes, and that's just, it happens too often. I know I've been saying this probably for the last 3 years now or so. If he just learned how to, as simple as that sounds, he just learned how to cross the ball and made the right decision at the right times, then he would be so much better. He would be such a better player. Now, he came off in the second half, of course, for Perisic, and Perisic came on, and I felt, his first action was to kick the ball over to kick the ball out of the stadium, essentially, instead of just simply passing the ball forward. So I was like, yes, Coman is finally off. He's been having such a bad game. And then Perisic came on. I was like, what are you doing, Perisic? Why are you kicking it to the moon? What are you doing there? We don't have any astronauts in orbit right now. Why are you kicking it into the moon? It's like, we just need to get players that think better. Honestly, that's really what it boils. Just have players that think better. That's why I always like Thomas Müller, because he thinks. He might not be technically, he might not be the best player. Aesthetically, he might not be the best player. He might not be the fancy player that everyone's looks towards and whatnot. But he's always thinking. That's why he's always so effective. That's really his biggest strength, is that he's thinking. And just with our other players, to have a lot more technical prowess, or a lot more physical prowess, or a lot more have other strengths in other areas. I just wish they would think more too, or think quicker. I guess that's what it boils down to, and that's just an issue, But yeah, I do want to mention our defense though. Boateng could have given away a penalty. Should have been a penalty. Let's be totally honest here. It definitely was a penalty, but who cares? We're not going to talk about that, because we could have easily had a penalty. We could probably have two penalties, actually, one in the first half, one in the second half. But let's not talk about that, right? They could have had an obvious penalty. We should have had an obvious penalty in the second half too. And we could have potentially had a penalty in the first. I'm not 100% on that one in the first half, but overall, like I think Dortmund, considering the kind of chances that they created, I thought maybe they'll be disappointed, but quite frankly, they don't deserve to be disappointed, because we were just better. Like, that's what about, like, we were just better. Like, they were more direct, I'll give them that, but as a whole, we were just better. And I know they'll talk about the penalty. They'll probably talk about, oh, why didn't Sancho start? That was a big talk before the game. Why is Sancho not starting? Now, probably after the game, they'll be saying, if only Sancho was fit, then this game could have been different. If, all right. It's actually kind of funny how negative I am about Dortmund, considering I used to be called a Dortmund, I don't know what people used to call me, but they used to say that, why are you saying that Dortmund is so good? And so back when I used to say that they were so good when they, in a league position wise, when they weren't doing so well, I used to say that they are actually a very dangerous team when we perhaps had a better team. I used to say that they're actually very close to us, but now that now that the hype is surrounding them, and they're only, they were 4 points behind us today, now they're 7 points behind us, I was saying, they're such a bad team. So, and not to be like a hipster or anything, but generally what I say is generally true, alright? I'm not saying like everything I've ever said has been true, because quite clearly that's not the case. But like genuinely, when I say something, I don't say it just for the sake of it. I say it because that's the way I see it. Which is why I said, like, I thought like we'd beat Dortmund, but that's because I expected us to like hit third or fourth gear, which we didn't do today. We hit the second gear probably. I would say like we were very smart today. We weren't good, but we were smart, and I'll take that, because at the end of the day, 3 points is 3 points. I expected us to win. I expected us to put on more of a performance, granted, but I enjoyed the game regardless. From both teams, just kind of have a go at it. So yeah, I liked it. Boateng, I thought, was excellent. I mean, he got a little bit tired at the end, so that's that. Alaba, I mean, he's not a natural centre back. He's not a natural anything, honestly. If you really think about it, is he a natural midfielder? Probably. But he's played most of his career as left back. Is he a natural left back? Probably. But now he's playing his career as a centre back. Is he a natural centre back? Maybe not. I can't really say. Probably for that one, but maybe not. But the point is, like, he's just slotting in everywhere. It doesn't really matter where we play. He's just slotting in, right? If we need him to be our striker, he'll start being our striker. All right. It's just the way he is. Excellent game today. From him as well. Davies, I kind of mentioned that I thought he was actually isolated in the first half. I thought like he definitely, essentially, was playing like 1 versus 3, and he still came out on top. Now, he was caught out of position a few times, but he made up with his pace. His pace is, personally, I don't like talking about pace that much, because I feel like pace is always such a cop-out. It's like, you didn't position yourself well, like, you always have your pace to rely on, players that are slower don't have that, but they can still have an amazing career, Boateng, for example, he is actually very, very fast. I think Boateng might actually be, when he hits, like, top gear, I think he might actually be I was going to say our fastest player, but probably not anymore. But, like, he used to be our fastest player, even faster than Robin and Ribery. But, like, he always just takes a while to get started with his sprint, because he has this, like, very slow run up, but, like, his top speed is actually very fast. But I just don't like this whole argument, like, you've got pace, so now you're good. I feel like it's a very FIFA-minded, when I say FIFA, I mean the game. FIFA, the game-minded approach to football, where, like, if you're faster than someone, you automatically win. And I just don't like the argument, because, especially for a defender, I think positioning is 10 times more important than pace could ever be. But he was caught out of position a few times today, Davies. But because he was basically playing 1 versus 3, I kind of, I'm not that upset about it. I'm not that upset because he was essentially in a deficit, in a negative position from the first minute anyway. From the first minute, and from the first instance, he was always out of position, because he was always playing against 3 players. I thought he did relatively well. Yeah, and then you have Pavard. Pavard I thought was pretty good as well. I thought he was like the most consistent, I want to say. Most consistent of our defenders. Not like great, not bad, just good. Good throughout the whole game. I thought he was just good throughout the whole game. Didn't do anything egregious. Didn't do anything like that like really stands out to me. He was just good. Then we're going to Kimmich. Kimmich, I thought, first half wasn't that good, but he scored a worldie. And then second half he played better. Goretzka, first half I didn't think he played good, but second half he played better. Thomas Müller, first half I thought he was very good, and second half I thought he was very good. Coman, first half better, second half frustrating. Gnabry, first half atrocious, second half decent. And then decent. I don't want to say good, decent. For those guys that don't know my scale, I don't have an official scale, but like it would go something like absolutely rubbish to atrocious to bad to below average to neutral, I guess. Okay, I guess. Then it goes to it goes neutral. Then the 6 out of 10 would be okay, 7 out of 10 would be good, 8 out of 10 would be great, 9 out of 10 would be amazing, 10 out of 10 would be me. If you're me, then you're a 10 out of 10. It's that simple. But yeah, who was home? Lewandowski. Lewandowski, I thought I just had a good game overall. Like, it was nothing. He didn't have any highlights, honestly, besides the potential. Besides the potential penalty at the end, but he didn't. There wasn't really much of a highlight. Like he had a shot that was like kind of deflected off onto the goal post, but like there was nothing where I can be like, yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. There was nothing like that. It was just like, okay, good game. He fought a hard battle with Hummels, just kind of back and forth, and yeah, he was just good offensively, good defensively, helped out in the back as well. So I thought overall Lewandowski was just good. A very good performance from him today. A very good, rock-solid performance. But yeah, that's just my take on the game. As I said, I fully expected us to win this game. I know a lot of people were like, a lot of people are always a lot less confident in me. There's only ever been one game, honestly, that I've ever been not positive about that we could win it. And funny enough, that was the game against Porto. And I learned my lesson in that game. Like before that, I've always been like super positive, but like that was the one game that I was like, yeah, this game, I don't know about this one. And we still won that, so I can't complain. In general, I can't complain. We got the 3 points, we won. Could have definitely played better. Should have definitely played better. Should have definitely put on more of a clinic. Not saying more goals or anything, just a better performance. But we have to work on that. Right now we're lacking the rhythm, the sharpness that we usually have, which is understandable after the quarantine. So I'm just hoping that we're gonna keep this momentum up, keep this win streak up, and then we'll get the sharpness and then better performances. When I say performance, I never mean more goals or anything. I just mean a better rounded performance, and that's exactly what I'm hoping for in our next game, whenever that is. I think it's on Saturday or Sunday. I know it's I know we're playing twice this week, but I'm not sure. I think it probably has to be Saturday or Sunday, considering we played today. But yeah, that's just my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, on this game. Let me know what you all thought. Let me know who your standout player was. I mean, obviously a fantastic goal from Kimmich, absolutely brilliant. Okay, could have probably saved it, but absolutely, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that here. We just talk about how good Kimmich's Kimmich's chip was. It was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliante. Okay, that's all it was. Just fantastic. Could Bergie have saved it? Perhaps, but we don't care about that here. We're absolutely biased here. Of course we are. But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be seeing you all in the next one, everyone. Until then, have a nice day. Peace out. And as always,